everyone, welcome back to the Across the Park podcast. Got some different faces on here for you. I was just saying to Chris off air, it's the 5th podcast I've done today, so I feel psyched about another one. No, genuinely I am. I thought I'd bring in the map as well behind me, just to make these guys feel at home. Just about got you on there, I think.
Yeah, on the earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see us.
So welcome, Ryan. Welcome, Chris. I'll give you a brief intro as well as I can. So these two guys to my right up here, Chris Mason. I've known Chris since he was, a very, very young child, and we used to go to the match together, and we got both pulled through the pain of the 90s and early more so early noughties of how awful Everton were then. And I guess a lot of you would be watching it saying, well, what's changed? But yeah, I've knew Chris since he was a young lad. And Ryan, I'll allow Chris and yourselves to introduce, by I believe your brother-in-laws?
Yes. Married to Chris's wife's sister. So that's how we are connected.
Keeping it in the family. So we've got the Everton family and we've got actual family. So
yeah.
I'm now a part of the Everton family.
I've dragged Ryan in.
I've been in the fold now for some time. And that's all I have to say about that.
Good.
He never said thank you. Notice he never said thank you.
Never say thank you. No, I mean, that's the last word that'll probably come out of your mouth when you talk about being welcomed into the Everton family. So for our regular listeners, subscribers, something a little bit different. We always talk to Evertonians, sometimes Evertonians that are still involved with the club, sometimes Evertonians who've been involved with the club, past fans, future fans, whatever it is. Chris has got a good personal story. Chris has moved over to the States. I'll allow you to talk about how that's come about. But, I've stayed in touch with Chris, top Evertonian, family full of Evertonians and new Evertonians as well, which is brilliant. But Chris, can I start with you first and talk to our subscribers, our fans about how you came to be in America and what you do for a living now?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, as you said, we used to go to match together. I was a season ticket holder from, 7 or 8 years old, onwards until I moved to London and out for work, which I'm an actor. So that took me down there. And then I still managed to get a season ticket for a couple of years and was commuting back and forth because I missed it that much. And then eventually made the move to America, met my wife, and now we're settled down in Nashville, Tennessee, of all places. And the one thing I miss the most, obviously, apart from my family and my friends back home, is football. Everton, going to the game live. I was going home and away for a long time. I've traveled all across Europe, like we've been in Europe loads, but been to all the European away days as well. And missed just that feeling of being connected. And Nashville have got a relatively new, 5 years old MLS team. And the stadium's brand new. It was like the first first football stadium built, like just for football or soccer, as Ryan would call it. So, we went to a few games last year, and it's a good atmosphere. And was like, I really want to get into this because I miss live sports. So the thing was to first thing, we got our season tickets, and we were like, all right, we'll do it. We'll go to the game. And then as I was thinking, I was like, how can I buy into this more? Like, this feels there's something here, and it's Major League Soccer, and I can't call it soccer. I just can't. It's not soccer. It's football. And I realized, I was like, well, I'm a football fan who's trying to fall in love with soccer, and then Ryan is predominantly an American football fan. And I was like, well, we're both football fans, and we're both trying to learn about soccer, and that's where Major League Football came from. And I thought, you know what, we can talk about it, because I'm not qualified to talk about football. I've never been a coach. I played, but I'm probably more qualified than Ryan. But we're not going to sit here and do statistics and break down tactical and analysis. So we thought we'd have a laugh with it and see what the cultural differences are. Both him coming from a different sport and me coming from what might as well be a different sport, because the quality is just insanely different. But yeah, so that's where this Major League Football came from, and we're having a laugh with it, I hope. Ryan?
Yeah, I had no intention of following yet another league. I think one of the things about being an American sports fan is there are so many leagues, and I love sports. So, like Chris said, NFL, real football, is probably my number one. But then, there's also NBA basketball, which I'm a big fan of. College basketball, which I'm an enormous fan of. Shout out to the UConn Huskies, who are in the Final Four, one of the 4 best teams in the country. Hopefully we could bring it home again this year. And then baseball. And now I am locked into not only watching Everton week to week, but also now Nashville SC. And I think doing the podcast definitely holds us accountable, because like Chris said, sometimes it's a tough hang, watching some of these games. But also new for me is I didn't have the experience that Chris and yourself, Gary, had, growing up, going to games. The majority of the teams that I love were out of state, so I didn't have the opportunity often to go and see them perform live. So this is really my first experience consistently going to a stadium, rooting for a team. And I think that adds something to the podcast as well. Just being a novice in that regard.
Let's say what the biggest issue of that is Ryan is sitting there trying to rewind the live action to see an instant replay when he's not getting replays in the stadium, because he's not used to not having his instant replay and his stats up and all that stuff. So it's funny to watch him struggle and be like, I want to see it again. Where is it? Show me it again.
I mean, yeah, that's what you get for watching sports on television your whole life. I'm very spoiled. Yeah, going to the stadium is it can be infuriating from time to time. But it's a lot of fun, and hopefully we could start to play a little bit better. Been getting a lot of Desmonds as Chris likes.
Desmond Tutu. Literally, was it 4 this season? 4-2-2.
Yeah.
That's decent. I'd take that.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, trying to be positive, right? Glass half full against decent teams. So we're trying to be positive for now. We'll see how far we get down the season before we blow up like Everton.
So just for the benefit of our subscribers and followers, and they're probably thinking, "What are you doing, Georgie? What's going on here?" So why I thought it would be particularly interesting, as I said, Chris is a lifelong Evertonian, and as the guys have just alluded to, but not quite completely explicitly said, they've set up their own podcast. They're new podcasters. Oh, yeah. So I said to Chris, it would be good to get you on and talk about, you've obviously just explained then, Ryan, that you wanted to make yourselves accountable. Now, a lot of people who watch our podcast think, why do you do a podcast? How do you do it? You guys have admitted before we started that you're still kind of learning, you're still picking things up. I mean, I've watched some of your content. It's funny as fuck. So that's a good start. And I think that's always a good start. If you can talk to each other and have that natural banter and camaraderie, which you've got, and you can bring up some amusing anecdotes, that's always a great place to start. But for you guys, how's it been so far? What have you learned? Where are you hoping to take it?
I think we both listen to or watch a lot of sports podcasts in general, like, across the park. I watch about 4 Everton ones, you know what I mean? Because I miss home that much that sometimes it's just nice to have even on in the background, just hearing, a Scouser, or, there's some more that do them as well. But, hearing a Scouse voice and talking about Everton and catching up on stuff. And, we're not trying to be I think a lot of those podcasts that we listen to are a lot more analytical and give us a lot more of the actual sport and the in-depth stuff. And we're holding our hands up. We're not like that. So, but being brother-in-laws, we get on well, and, we have a laugh. And I thought, well, maybe we could make it more of a kind of comedy, getting to know the MLS thing. And, in terms of setting up, we just kind of tried to copy what people do, and the first couple of episodes was definitely like, it took a lot longer to set up than we thought it would. Microphones were different. It was the camera wouldn't work. The lighting was off. The things wouldn't hang up, and all those little things you run into that you don't think of. I'm sure you've done it yourself, where you're setting a camera up or something. It's just something, your laptop breaks, XYZ, whatever it is. We've had a lot of those, and you kind of, you mangle through it, and started putting it together, and hopefully it gets a little better, and maybe by the end of the season we'll be in a good good spot with it, and then we'll be ready to give up the podcast and be done.
That's it, though. It's like, in essence, even though to you guys, I'm sure it's a hobby. I know. Obviously, your occupation is Chris. We haven't got to you yet, Ryan, but I'll ask you in a moment. What I would say is, it's like any small business, though. It'll either be gone in the first year, and you'll forget about it and you'll move on, or you persist, and you have ups and downs. You'll have periods where you don't. You'll have periods, certainly once you get 6 months in, where you think, can't be asked doing one this week. And the more people you speak to do podcasts, that's just the way it goes. You have periods where you think, don't fancy it, or Chris might be really busy in work. You've got an acting gig or whatever that's on the other side of the country or the other side of the world, and it's not possible. And all I would say from an advice point of view is just accept that that's going to be the way it is, and you'll pick it up when you've got the chance.
It didn't take us 6 months, Gary. It took us about 3 episodes to go, is this can we be bothered?
Yeah, but I mean, it's but we're sticking to it. We're still going, which is great. But yeah, I think that one of the things about our podcast is we're very open about the fact that we don't know what the hell we're doing. And I think it's endearing. I think it's like allowing for I think it's makes it more approachable. That we are just kind of open about the fact, I mean, me in particular, about the fact that I really don't know much about this sport, and I'm learning as we go. Chris is a little bit more technically knowledgeable, I would say. But it's just good to, go to the games and chat with Chris. Like you said, we get on well. We're brother-in-laws. Not always the case, but for us, it has been.
For now, we get along.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think the good thing is because we've got the season tickets, we kind of have like content already. It's like we haven't had to fight to make content. Right now we're doing one show a week. It's a free podcast. We're not doing this for any money. It's like we're just putting this out there as a laugh and see where it goes. But we can review the games, preview the upcoming games. We've got a few little things in there that are based around the culture of American football that I find fascinating. Coming from Goodison Park and having a sweaty hot dog or like a questionable pie. You go into the stadium and it's like Disneyland for food. It's like we're doing a snack league table where we're going to try as many as possible as the vendors in the stadium and rank them, and at the end of the season have like playoffs. And that's just a great excuse for us to go and eat as much as we want every week, and try different food. So that's been good. What else have we got, Ryan? We've got some,
as far as like the content within the pod. Yeah, I mean, like, we do try not to be too serious. We do this thing called Real or Not Real week to week, where Chris or I will give players, me from the NFL, him from soccer or football, and see which players are real and not real.
So making the other one guess. And, honestly, I have a lot of fun with the names that have been thrown around in there, I think the last episode I went all US men's national team goalkeepers from like the 90s, and Ryan didn't recognize any of them, to be fair. He guessed right on a few. But
I didn't see this one. Were you getting pictures up of them as well?
No, but that would be smart, wouldn't it? That's a good idea for us to edit in.
Production value will get better. Actually, seeing your opening, I was like, damn, we really
your opening got me going as well. It was like, reminded me of seeing Goodison Park and hearing the song. I was like, let's go.
It always puts a bit of a smile on your face, and I think that's like, I was going to say, I mean, this platform we use now, StreamYard, is good because you've got all kinds of clever tools on the right that you can like flash images in if you want to. You can change the backgrounds, as you've seen. You can have videos. So again, for anyone who's watching and thinking, I wouldn't mind doing a podcast, I want to do it online, StreamYard's a really good platform to do it. But yeah, I think it's I'm smiling listening to the stuff you've gone through at the start and the content ideas. Some of those content ideas you'll probably never get to. Some of them will become bigger than your normal weekly show. I mean, I love the idea of the whole food thing because I'm with you. I mean, certainly haven't been to anywhere near as many American sports events as Ryan has or seen them, but I haven't been to ice hockey games and NBA matches and stuff. It's just miles ahead of football. Even the Premier League being the biggest league in the world, it doesn't even get close to the experience you get, in terms of general hospitality for just the normal match-going fan.
It's amazing. It's
tailgating.
Like it's not about the sport. Do you mean you go to the stadium? If you go to an NBA game, every NBA game I've gone to in the fourth quarter, people turn up to their seats. But for the first three, they're just shopping. They're basically doing the shopping. You know what I mean? They're going around drinking. There's like McDonald's in the stadium or whatever. It's like, and then they turn up for the last quarter and go, "Oh, anything interesting? Yeah, go sports."
It's different with the NBA, with MLB, with NHL games where there's, in the NBA, there's 82 games a season. Same with the NHL. In baseball, there's 162 games in the season. So you're not really as locked in. Whereas in the Premier League, every point counts. Every point matters. NFL, same thing. I mean, there's only 17 games in a season. So every single game matters. I feel like in those games, there's a lot more people in their seats. In, like you said, in the NBA or in those other leagues, I feel like it's a little bit more leisure.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't get me wrong though, Ryan. If the type of facilities you're talking about were available in and around the football stadiums in England, you would get half the stadium empty for the first 20 minutes without doubt. I mean, Chris, like we used to go to Royal Oak or whatever before the game. We'd be late to our seat, 15 minutes, or our dads would, just because they didn't want to sacrifice that last pint.
That last swig of the pint, yeah. And then, then walk up and get through the dodgy gates at the park end, yeah. I mean, it's funny. We've got there's actually quite a few young kids sitting next to us, which, I mean, I don't swear that much, I don't think, in real life, but like a football, I can't help it. It's like indoctrinated into me that I've got to, you get into the game, you're talking through it. We all do it. And there's a lot of kids sitting around us, and I feel, sometimes I feel bad, but as Ryan said, he's like, hey, look, the kids are here. They should know it's going to happen. Like, they're going to have to accept that at a sports event. Like, it's okay.
You enter into that social contract as a parent when you bring your kid to the game.
We had on the first game, one kid, like at halftime, everyone goes down and tries to get a snack or whatever they're doing. And he didn't get back to his seat till the 75th minute because he wanted the bowl of ice cream. And the ice cream bowl must have been about this big, like tiny little thing. And it missed more than half of the second half. I mean, it was insane. I was like, wow, he's queued up for that ice
They're
cream.
pretty consistent with that too. Those people sit, I mean, they're there every game that we're there. And I think that in second half, they've not seen an entire second half since the start of the season. So,
well, touching on not seeing the football, Ryan has this trick. And, a lot of people in Goodison, I remember people doing this as well. I forget what number minute it was. I think in Goodison, it was like the 29th minute. As soon as the ball went out for a throw-in, loads of fellas in the park ended stand up and go for a piss. You know what I mean? It'd be like exact time. But with Ryan, it's like the 44th minute before you get added time. He goes, I'm going to get before the queue. And he runs down. And I'm always like, that's the worst time to go. Because
that's too late.
Just before half time. Like, you could miss something. That's the important part of the game. The last game, Ryan goes for a piss and misses 2 goals. One of them was a bicycle kick as well, which people in America were going crazy for. Like, it was,
I saw the goals, by the way. I was in the queue for some food, and the goals were on the television. There was a 2-second delay, but I did witness the goals. It's not like I was
might as well have been at home.
Hey, Gary, I'm not sure if you've listened, to the pod, and I'm a big superstitious guy. So I was in the queue after the first goal. I texted Chris and I was like, I guess I have to watch the rest of the game from the line of Rock and Dough Pizza over here. And then sure enough, 2 minutes later, I'm about to order and I see a bicycle kick go in. And I'm like, all right, I can't go back to the seat now. Can't do it. And I did go back to the seat, and sure enough, game ended 2-2. My fault.
Next time, No, we as you were saying, Chris, in the park end, but we'll go down at different times to get a drink at a half time, but we rotate. So the good thing about the longer you start going to the game, you'll probably have a bigger circle of people you sit by, and you maybe have a bit of a system where you go, right, it's your turn, you're around to go and get a drink. So fortunately, it's only once every 6 to 8 games that I have to go down and get a drink.
Yeah. See, that's at least you're going down to get a drink and not just going for a piss like Ryan. You can't send someone else to do that for you, Ryan. Sadly, I'm not going to go for a piss for you.
Look into seeing if they sell catheters on Amazon.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been following and focusing kind of on Nashville, but we also try and touch on the rest of the MLS. But I wanted to ask you, Gary, because you worked over in America, didn't you? You coached. Did you get to many games while you were there?
Yeah, well, you know what? I tell this story to a lot of my friends, and I'll bring it up to other people who I haven't met before, and my friends roll their eyes. I went to the first game that David Beckham played in the MLS. Wow. So it was at the Giants Stadium, and it was New York Red Bulls against LA Galaxy. And honestly, it was the most ridiculous game I've ever been to in terms of like. So you'll understand what I'm getting at, but you can imagine what American football fans were like in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
So that was 15 years less education on what football should look like.
Yeah.
So anyway, we walked onto the pitch with the players because we were coaching for the league at the time, and due to the nature of the franchise at that given time, all the coaches who worked for the league could work for different clubs at different times. So at that moment in time, I was working with the New York Red Bulls. A little bit later, I went to work for Revolution. Obviously, I wasn't going across the country. I was staying in that particular region, done some bits at Chicago Fire, etc. But anyway, it was all in that region of the country. But back to David Beckham's game. Every single time LA Galaxy got a free kick, regardless of where the ball was, everyone got up and was like clapping, as if he was going to shoot from like the right back position. But it got to the point after half an hour. I can't remember who the Bruce Arena or something. I can't remember who the coach was. I think he got up and actually said to Beckham that he just needs to start taking every free kick. So they were getting free kicks like on the edge of their own area, and Beckham was having to run across the pitch and take it.
He's at the league in his ear going, make sure he kicks every ball that he can.
Exactly.
But it's funny, we've just watched Nashville play against Inter Miami, and the Messi effect. It's the modern day David Beckham effect, I suppose. But the quality of the league is much better than it was back definitely. Then. We got a Desmond against them, didn't we, at home in the cup, and he scored, and he's world class. It's too easy playing with the slippers on you, man.
Yeah.
But sitting in the stadium and like 2 seats down from you, there's a fella in a Messi shirt, there's one behind, they're everywhere, and I'm just thinking, imagine that in Goodison.
I know, wearing the opposition
World War III. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. That particular day, I think there must have been over 100,000 at the Giants Stadium. Obviously, they don't play there anymore, but is the Giants Stadium even still there? Didn't it get demolished?
Yeah, that's they have the new MetLife Stadium, but yeah, you went to I think it was the Meadowlands was the original Giants Stadium.
It was in New Jersey.
In New Jersey, yeah. So I think they actually built MetLife like right next to the stadium, and then I think it's a parking lot now.
Yeah, but it was I reckon that day there was 100,000 there. I reckon about 90,000 was supporting David Beckham.
Yeah,
and it was just like they were just there to see him, and it was like, as you say, because it's like, and it'd be unheard of in NFL. Imagine someone coming sitting with another shirt on in the middle of it and supporting one particular, or was it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it depends on the team and the stadium. Like, there's definitely some stadiums, like we were talking about Philadelphia yesterday. It's like, if you're a division rival, you're not rocking a Cowboys jersey inside the link. That's dangerous. And I feel like it depends on who's in your division, the rivals, the city itself. But definitely is cause for concern sometimes. Absolutely.
Yeah, annoying. Couldn't handle it. Me wasn't happy seeing all these Messi jerseys everywhere. But yeah, it is mad.
How many games are you in now into the season for it?
Is it 6 in the MLS?
Yes.
And we were in the CONCACAF Cup as well, which is a bit of a useless competition. All the cup competitions over here are fraught with like rigging and fixing and like the Mexicans are way better. Liga MX, like the quality when they come to town, they just batter the MLS teams, and it's kind of embarrassing. Like considering that the infrastructure that the MLS has, it should be much better. But they've got all these rules for like designated players. You can basically only have like 3 good players, and then the rest of them have got to be, you know, no offense, but American homegrown players, and they're not the best, you know. So it's tough. But we've seen, I don't know, we've seen probably like 5 or 6 games. We've had a lot of home games at home, and we've been going. And then you watch the rest on Apple TV. I've got the MLS 360 where they go around the grounds and show all the goals. And I'm like, oh, imagine that in England. That'd be amazing if you could watch the 3 o'clock kickoffs and just watch all the goals as they happen. It's like
some people can't,
light years behind. Yeah, some people can using their VPN.
Legally, yeah.
We can here. There's one on Peacock on the US television. And it's great.
I think Peacock is one of the ones I watch some of mine on. But just going back briefly, obviously, to the league itself, and this is something I just still can't get on board with, is even though it's exciting, the playoffs. Now, I just can't get on board with a team winning the league, finishing top of the league, and then not being the champions and winning the MLS Cup. And someone who's finished 6th and about 25 points behind them being the champions. It's just, I get having a separate cup, and that's fine. And like 95, Chris, last time we won a cup, and that was the actual shirt that we wore in the season. We won the FA Cup, but no one was calling us the champions because we didn't win the league.
Yeah. The playoff system is like the worst part of it for me. I'm not too worried about the winning side of it, because you get like a title if you win the league. You get like a title or a cup or a trophy or whatever. And then you also get a title if you win the playoffs in your section, like the East and the West. And then you get another title, the MLS Cup, to win all of it, which is all, it just becomes too much. But the worst part is there's no relegation. So if you're
all about participation trophies in this country, you know?
Yeah. If your team is 12th and not going to make the playoffs,
you still get a trophy. They're like little plastic ones, I think.
You made it. Yeah.
What was the trophy you used to always get, Chris, the Sunday League, when like someone would get it? Like, what was it? Something like
it wasn't play of the game, was it? It was like literally
so at the end of the season, like, sorry, we're going off piste a little bit here, Ryan, but when you play for football teams in England as a child, like at the end of the season, you'll have, players player of the year, managers player of the year.
Most improved.
Most improved player, that was
most improved. I know there was another one that was like always showed up, basically, and sat on the bench all season. Participation award.
Yeah, something like that. It just feels like there's some of them knocking about as well.
Yeah, definitely. But that's it. With the no relegation, is halfway through the season, your season's over. So you get these teams where the stadiums are empty. People, no one's bothered about turning up. The players don't care, and it kills half the competition for so long. That's why, I think the longer you get into the MLS season, the harder it becomes to care about, because it's kind of known.
And that's why the playoffs help a little bit, because at least there's a bit
of playoffs then make it more interesting. But there's this weird kind of land of oh, they'll make the playoffs and they won't, and then there's a couple of teams in between that have stakes for a little bit. But I'm hoping we make the playoffs, because that'll be interesting. And if you don't, I don't know what your season's for, really. I don't know what you're doing. What's the point? You just don't get relegated. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm loving the relegation fight Everton are in this season, because it's killing me, and it's killed me for the last 2 seasons. It's killed all Everton fans, but at least there's something to fight for. Imagine if we're just sitting there going, oh yeah, we're just shit. It's fine. Leave it.
Well, funny enough, we got can't remember the question. I don't know how it came about, but we were talking about it last year. And I made the case that there's certain aspects about being a team that fight for relegation every year, that teams who win the league every year will never understand this feeling of, it's a different euphoria. It's like you're about to fall off the edge of a cliff, and then someone pulls you back, and you almost felt that moment of, I was dead then. Yeah. And in that feeling, it's not like a celebration joy, but it's just this crazy feeling of...
It's like you'd rather not have that feeling, but at the same time, at least you're feeling something. We've done it. We've finished 11th in the Premier League, and it's boring. I'm not saying I want relegation, but that much. I mean, I was at the Bournemouth game last season. At the end of the season, it was one of the few games I got to when I was back. And when that goal went in, it was insane, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? The noise that they like. I've been to Goodison for a lot of games, but I've never heard it like that. But the mood afterwards was it was like relief, but it was also like no one was celebrating. We were all just kind of like, all right, don't do that again. Yeah. And what have we done? We've managed to do it pretty successfully again. You know, it's not looking good this season either. But
that is mad. But Ryan, I want to bring you in because you obviously said before you've been brought into the Everton family. We are an Everton podcast, so I want to get your. I know you admitted before it's a limited technical knowledge of the game, but what's been your opinion of Everton so far? You're on mute, by the way, before you start talking. You put yourself on mute. There you go. Oh,
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Chris got me into Everton. I mean, my experience with the EPL in the past, always following Portuguese players because my family's Portuguese. Follow the Portuguese national team. It's very convenient for me as an American, you know, growing up, and no one really caring about the U.S. men's national team. Portugal was a very easy team to root for. So, again, would always follow Portuguese players. Now, I mean, there's a few that y'all have. So, you know, I feel like, you know, again, it's just adds to it, but it's tough, man. It's tough. Last year, the Decore goal and y'all, you know, saving yourselves from relegation. I was like, all right, maybe we could build on this. And then, you know, and even, you know, this year, if not for a point deduction, y'all would be pretty comfortable right now. I mean, not completely, but you would feel a little bit better about, you know, your stance and, you know, the season next year and being in the Premier League. So, but man, it's just, it really is. And it's heartbreaking. And, you know, you guys, I feel like have a similar issue that Nashville SC has, where it's just like putting the ball in the back of the net just is a real struggle. So yeah, I mean, I tell Chris all the time, I'm kind of pissed that, you know, he has made me this way. I feel like just, you know, I'm following a team that's frustrating the way that Everton can be, but you know, I also appreciate the history of the club and just like how much it means to Chris makes me care about it. In, you know, it's very reminiscent of how I feel about my teams and the teams that I grew up with, where it's like really is a part of my identity. And why do we care so much? You know, why these people don't know that I exist, but they mean so much to me. And this team means so much to me. And I could see the same in Chris and Everton, and that makes it, you know, that makes me care more. I want, you know, normally I want to see my friends' teams, you know, do awful, but with Everton, I want them to succeed, at least, you know, in not getting relegated.
Well, you're definitely not a lucky charm, Ryan. I'm going to say that since you've been supporting. It's not been going well.
No.
When did you start? So yeah, when did this start? When did your following of Everton start, Ryan?
I would say really probably last season when y'all were kind of on the brink of was when I started watching a little bit more consistently. And then this season I've caught most of the games. A few that I've missed just because it's early here. I have a 5-month-old, so it's like, you know, sometimes it's tough to watch the games. But
last season was when I started getting texts from him during games going, "What is he doing? Who's this guy? Onana needs to move his legs, man." You're going pretty hard on Onana.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot of players in that squad at the moment that can underwhelm. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Even if they could just whelm, they don't need to overwhelm. Just whelm us a little bit, you know. That would be great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, it's been great having you on. I know. What time is it over there, by the way? What time in the morning?
Just 9:05 now.
9:05. Okay. I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely have to. I was just thinking when you were talking then, and the fact that I love the idea, and me and my wife love the idea of going to Nashville one day. We need to get a bit of an exchange going on.
Yeah, hey, welcome anytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We definitely need to get Ryan over and get him to a game as well.
Yeah, that's.
I know. I don't know if I'm going to make it to Goodison, but maybe the new stadium.
Well,
yeah,
that's what I mean.
Get to watch us in the championship. It'd be great.
We might have the perfect, amalgamation of American sports experience at our new stadium and terrible football.
Yeah, terrible football.
Hey,
edible
man,
food.
absolutely. We'll be doing snack league table on across the park. Yeah,
that'll be good.
Yeah, no. Listen, I appreciate you coming on. Go on, Chris. You want to say something? Then?
No. I was just rounding out like you. Go on.
But yeah, please, anyone who follows across the park and you're looking to hear some amusing take on Major League Football, as the guys are calling it, search for Major League Football. Are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah, Major League Football on YouTube, Major_League_Football, really easy to search for on Instagram, and MLF Pod, or ML Football Pod on Twitter.
That's
something like that.
Loads of content anyway. But yeah, you can if you follow them on Instagram as well. It's a good way of getting the first hit of the content and getting some funny clips that I think are always good to capture the imagination. But thanks, guys, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Best of luck with your podcast ventures. Again, the best advice I can give you is just accept that it's always going to be a bit shit. never gonna. I mean, this one today, I'm like in the office. Sometimes I'll do it from home. You're never going to get the perfect backdrop all the time. You're never going to get
over here.
It's like we timed that, isn't it? Ryan's like getting his own audio issues, just as I said it.
Yeah, Ryan's crackling out. But no, thanks, Gary. Thanks for having us on. And check.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, catch us all soon, guys. And as we always say at the end, up the toffees.
Up the toffees.
Go Nashville.
I was going to say, what's the Nashville equivalent? Go Nashville.
Yeah, don't get me started on the chants for Nashville. That's one of my big bugbears is American chants.
That's the episode I'm looking forward to be honest. Is like, you all
the level of cringe. Yeah.
Go on. Take it easy, guys. Have a good day.
See you later.